So welcome to Entrepreneurship Workshop Day 2. Welcome back. Thanks for being here. And so today's topic is going to be about writing. So we are going to start with a short warm-up, and you guys are going to respond to this prompt. If there's a limited amount of matter in the universe, how can Olive Garden, along with other restaurants and their concepts of food infinity, offer truly unlimited soup, salad, and breadsticks? Explain this using any method of analysis you wish. Physics, biology, economics, history, theology. The options, as you can tell, are endless. So first we can discuss as a group for any ideas you might have on how you can respond to this. And then you guys can individually write your own responses in the chat, and then you can post them. All right, so today's topic is going to be about writing and different writing styles. So writing styles need to appropriately suit the type of writing you're doing. Writing is not only important in entrepreneurship, it's also used in a lot of different aspects of your life. So what are the different types of writing used in a business? The three main types of writing that we do are grant applications, sponsorship inquiries through email, and official documents, such as business plan and sustainability plans. And we'll cover all three of these later in the presentation. So first, we're going to talk about something called the Showi Scale, and this is basically how extravagant your writing is. So a 0 on the Showi Scale would be something like an instructions manual, where it's very bland, but it's also very straightforward. When you're reading an instruction manual, there's not a lot of added adjectives, it just goes straight to the point. A 10 on the Showi Scale would be really showy, something like poetry or a novel where there's lots of added adjectives and adverbs that can keep your reader engaged and make things interesting. So for most writing, we like to put it in between, so at a 5. The ideal piece of writing should be straightforward and to the point, so you should be able to get your point across quickly, but you should also add adjectives so that it's not boring and you can keep readers engaged.
A good way to think about it is that a lot of people don't like reading long sections, right? So we don't want to make it so long that people just put it down, but at the same time, people don't like reading writing that's really bland or really boring. So we want to be able to strike a balance between, yes, making it short enough so people are willing to actually pick it up in the first place, but also with enough flavor and enough descriptiveness so people aren't totally bored while we're reading it and we're still able to get our point across.
So Fluff and Stuff is something we like to use in business team, which is adding a ton of extra adjectives and adverbs to make your company look great. So this is basically talking up your company and making it sound really good on paper. Something else is to use varied sentence structure if possible. This makes our reading the pieces more interesting. Lastly, use good grammar and spelling conventions. So basically just spell check your work before publishing it or sending it out. So let's go over grants. Grants are applying to specific grant programs offered by organizations or foundations. When writing grants, the foundation will usually give you a list of prompts, and you just write according to each of the prompts. Usually there's longer pieces of writing for grants, so you have space to add fluff and stuff, so extra adjectives to make your organization sound really good. So remember, for grants, this is asking for money for your organization. So you want to talk up your company and make it sound really great so that people will be persuaded to fund you. Next is official documents. So these include business plan, sustainability plan, and etc. So this is very formal writing with statistics and data included. And it also addresses the company's future. So for these, we want to be more straightforward. So a 3 on the Showi scale, and it doesn't need space for adjectives or persuasion, because these documents usually get straight to the point. And then lastly, our emails, which is going to be today's focus. Usually we send emails to ask for sponsorships. Sponsorships are similar to grants, where other organizations will fund you. What's different is that you will be reaching out to them, and you can write whatever you want. It doesn't have to like follow a strict list of questions. And emails, remember to be professional and polite. Use proper email conventions such as greetings and sign-offs. So like introduce yourself, like say like hello or like dear, and at the end with like sincerely or thank you, things like that. And then the amount of fluff and stuff depends on the purpose. So we usually put emails at a 5 on the Showi scale. Subject lines are very important in an email. So they're basically like newspaper headlines. They should convey the main point or message of your email, and you want to be as specific as possible. So when people read the subject line, they should have a basic understanding of what your email is going to be about. If your message is time sensitive, meaning that people have to like respond in time or attend something, in the subject line, it's helpful to add something like meeting on Thursday, July 24th, so provide the date and time. Greetings and sign-offs are also pretty important. Always use some kind of greeting or sign-off, so you can start with dear, cordially, and when in doubt, address the person formally by using their last name.
Yeah, remember that you are having like a conversation with someone, even though it may seem like you're just submitting something, and they're not like immediately there. Remember that they are still like on the receiving end of that. So you want to make it clear who you are, and you want to make it clear that you know who they are. So it's not like you're speaking to a faceless corporation or something.
Exactly. Closing is important because it lets the reader know who is contacting them. So you can end with your name at the end. So like say like thank you, comma, and then your name or sincerely, things like that. And this lets the reader know who you are. So when they respond, they can like correctly address you. And then like Nicholas mentioned, it seems more like a conversation than just like spitting out like facts and stuff like that. So the general email format is that you first want to introduce yourself and your company. Introduce yourself and give your name. This is important because it's more like a conversation. And then this is also a time to introduce your company, so you can talk about the problem and how your company's product solves that problem. And you can give an overview on what your company does. Um, Next, you want to provide your intentions on why you're emailing them and why you need the sponsorship. So you have to outline why your company needs the money and um, and why a sponsorship would be a good fit for both parties. Um, it's also good to outline where the money would go. So talk about specifically how the money from the sponsorship would be applied. So this is good for emails because people on the receiving end will know exactly where their money will go, which makes it more likely for them to sponsor you. Next is a call to action. This is very important. This can be in the form of a link to a website or just saying, let's talk more. This way, when the reader is done reading your email, they will know what to do next. So instead of just like having like the email like marinate, they know exactly like where to learn more information, or if they want, they can contact you directly. Um, Lastly, if applicable, you can talk about benefits. So for Robotics, we have sponsor benefits where our sponsors' logos will go on the back of our t-shirts, on our robot, and on our website. And this is just like an incentive for sponsors, and it also shows our appreciation for them.
Yeah, an important thing to note here is that we're trying to we're trying to convince like whoever we're asking to give us funds. So we want to make sure that like they know why we need the money. It's not just like we're asking them for money out of the blue. So that's why it's important to remember like why you need the sponsorship. So if there's like a specific reason, like oh our if we're a restaurant, our we would like to expand our like growing like our consumer base or something like that, or like we would like to buy new pizza ovens or something like that, or if you're a tech company we would like to develop a new software or something like that. So that's like why you need the money. And then people like to know where their money is going generally, so it's important to let them know like how it's going to be specifically used, so they know that they're not just funding like an anonymous project. And then the call to action is important because a lot of times people will just leave stuff in their inbox. But if you make it very clear that this is the next step, like please contact me back or please visit our website for more information, they're going to be more likely to follow up with you, and they're going to be more likely to actually donate. And then the final note about the benefits is that even if it's like you don't have a clear service that you can provide them, you can always say that like we will promote your company on our merchandise, so we can provide you these services, or we can help grow your brand or something like that. Because it's always, people like it when they're getting something in return. So it's always good to try to like make it a give and take, not just like they're giving you money and they're getting nothing out of it.
All right, now it's time for our activity. So imagine that you are a representative of a restaurant. Your company is slowly losing money and you need help from Pally Robotics to stay in business. Write an email to Pally Robotics asking for a sponsorship and explaining what your restaurant will do with the money. Just as a review, here are some email writing guidelines. You want to keep it concise. No one wants to read a really long email, so stick to the main points. Also, make sure to include a useful subject line that gives a basic overview of your email. And you can address the email to Pally Robotics. So at the beginning, you can say like, hello, Pally Robotics, or dear Pally Robotics. And then lastly, if you guys want, you can send the email to me and I can also provide feedback on it.
Or just, you can just type it in chat,
Oh yeah, type it in it.
and then we can provide feedback. It's probably easier to do it that way.
So now we are going to go into our breakout rooms where you can like get one-on-one time with your counselor.